boast has been going around since 2019, and it is pretty bloody insightful and speaks to
Some
the
gone.
problem with the personal or sort of self-mythology of the West. And this is something I'm sure you've become aware that I've become very interested in, because I think actually there's a lot in the mythos that we tell ourselves, the stories that we tell ourselves, indicate the direction of travel of the civilization, what we held to be good, what we held to be bad, and that determines the actions that we take in real life when it comes to whatever it is we're dealing with. And this therefore informs the consequences that we generate. So I thought we'd go through this because I think this is genuinely important, and it's part of the reason that our civilizations are dying.
I'm Trizella.
It says, foundation myth. How do you recognize a foundation myth? It fulfills three functions. 1. It explains the origin and structure of the world and society. 2. It defines ultimate good and evil, and from those definitions are derived the values that are used to justify a holding of power. 3.
Oh my god, I cannot read that. I cannot read that. I just cannot read that. What? Oh, I mean, come on, you guys know that, I mean, the older foxlings know that I had a problem in my vision. So it's been really painful to read it. It's still really painful to read this kind of small-sized characters. Because, I mean, I never healed, like, everything. I got a sequel, so... Is a sequel it's called? So yeah, I cannot read anymore like small characters. I try to increase a bit the screen size, but don't think it's gonna be enough. Foundation myth. How do you recognize a foundation myth? It fulfills three functions. It explains the origin and structure of the world and society. It defines ultimate good and evil, and from those definitions are derived the values that are used to justify the holding of power. I think I've seen this somewhere else, but not with this name, foundation myth. But something else. Maybe this is valid for more stuff. It determines what is held sacred in that society. For modern Westerns, the story of World War II has become their foundation myth. It fulfills all three functions. We live in the post-war world. The lines on the map, the institutions, the sense of what era we live in, all arise from the starting point of World War II. Ultimate evil is Nazis. Ultimate good is opposing Nazis. The values derived from these definitions are anti-racism, equality, diversity, and national. I don't know if there's more to that, but that's what I can read. The only thing that is held sacred that cannot be denied or mocked in the contemporary West is the Holocaust. The problem is that all three functions are backwards or negative. Instead of the origin event being one of fertility and new life, it was a conflagration of death and destruction. Instead of ultimate good taking the central position in the story that his lot is occupied by ultimate evil. Everyone knows that Adolf Hitler, the cannot read more, personification probably, instead of that which is held sacred being something mysterious and sublime, the Holocaust is an obscenity. Having a negative foundation myth means the tree of life for Westerns is poisoned. Having a negative foundation myth means that tree of life of Westerns is poisoned. Well, I don't know why it's written twice, but I read twice, okay.
Held sacred in that society. For modern Westerners, the story of World War II has become their foundation myth. It fulfills all three functions. 1. We live in the post-war world. Lines on the map, the institutions, the sense of what era we live in, all arise from the starting point of World War II, which is the modern world, as we always say, the modern world. 2. The ultimate evil is Nazis. The ultimate good is opposing
increasing
Nazis.
the size,
Values derived from these definitions
read.
are anti-racism, equality, diversity, anti-nationalism, and so on. So full spectrum liberalism. 3. The only thing that is held sacred and cannot be denied or mocked in the contemporary West is the Holocaust, because this, of course, represents the ultimate malfeasance of the Nazis. It is the turning of the
I know,
state
guys. I
away
know. I
from
know he's
protecting
reading.
rights.
I know he's reading everything that I read. I know like we are probably seeing this twice, but the way that he's reading this just makes me I don't know how to explain. Makes me hard to understand. Like makes it hard to me to understand. The way that it's something on the way that he's reading this because I cannot follow along in this size. And the way he's reading makes me not comprehend what he says, so I had to read myself. Now I know what he's talking about.
To violating the rights of the citizens that liberalism holds to be the greatest evil. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to deny that the Holocaust is a great evil or anything like that. Obviously, it was atrocious. But this sacred thing, as he says here, is negative. The problem is that all three functions are backwards or negative. Instead of the origin event being one of fertility and new life, it was a conflagration of death and destruction. Instead of the ultimate good taking the central position in the story that is occupied by the ultimate evil. Everyone knows that Adolf Hitler, the personification of evil, holds the center point of the World War II story. That's absolutely true. Instead of that which is being held sacred being something mysterious and sublime, the Holocaust is an obscenity. Having a negative foundation myth means the tree of life for Westerners is poisoned. And that means, of course, we are slowly dying from it. Now, I think there's some real insight in this. So let's go back and talk about the foundation myth quickly. So it explains the origin and structure of the world, right? That is what the post-World War II era is. In Britain, for us, that is the Empire Windrush. Notice how the entire modern narrative of Britain is focused around when the diversity arrives in Britain. In 1948, the Empire Windrush turned up with 500 Caribbeans, and history properly begins.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they explain it there, the way that I read here, it totally makes sense. But I think there is no solution actually to this, you know? I think if you try to get rid of being inside of any of these, like, quote unquote, religions that they build, you know? These myths or whatever they name it, you always will end up falling in another when you try to oppose to these, like, be it by convention or just because you figured that out, like the example that he's giving, and it just decides to, oh, so if I'm being manipulated, I'll oppose to that. Then you'll be part of another new religion that opposes to that thing. You'll be always be manipulated somehow by something. That's what I think. That's what I think. I am like, I don't think I'm following anything, but I don't know. Maybe I'm part of the some kind of creed or it that I have no idea of. There is a lot of people that think like me out there that I have no knowledge of, or I don't know, that are already categorized or on something that I'm not aware. And maybe I already accepted the three of these of my own that I don't know it, you know? And I'm probably being manipulated at some level too. Like, I've probably there is no escape to that. I don't think there is any escape to that, you know? I don't know. I thought about this stuff sometimes already. And I don't actually see a solution. I might be wrong. But I would like to see you guys' ideas on the chat. So please, if you guys have any, please make this more not only engaging but also more interesting. Yeah. Let us discuss this on the chat if you guys have any ideas at all.
From that point. Everything, therefore, is framed in the juxtaposition against the ultimate evil, which is Nazis. Now, what do Nazis represent? Well, they represent the ideal of a homogenized culture that is particular to itself. A European culture with a state that is particular to itself. And so opposing that means anti-racism, equality, diversity, anti-nationalism, as in the full spectrum liberalism, to separate ourselves from our historic continuity. Now, you will never find anywhere on the internet of me supporting Nazis, thinking Nazis are a good thing. I'm the most racist person against Germans you'll ever meet. No, I'm joking about that, obviously. No, but I'm, of course, like any other normal Brit, against Nazis. But the fact that the Nazis...
The winners tell the story, okay? up until where I know, for example, Hitler is a terrible guy. Like, he murdered a lot of people. I'm not, by that, I'm not saying that Jews are saints, you know? Of course not. But I don't found anything that proved me that he didn't murder all those people, you know? So, because what? Because guess what? They won. Whoever is telling the story, and we have a good idea which people are telling the story. Uh, um, they won in the past, and they dictate the story. And on their story, because they are the winners and they can write whatever they want to the story because they won, they were the bad people. I don't know. I have no idea. I wasn't even existing. You know, like, how the fuck would I know? So it's complicated. And we are talking about an era that we hadn't even internet or anything. I think it will, in fact, be worse like 20 years, 30 years from now. Because story will be way much more manipulated than it was back on the past, because you are already living in a in a in a techno era, you know, in the era of the internet. So news, data, everything is way more manipulative and censored nowadays because they have access like much more easy nowadays. So which kind of things will be taught on the school, like in 30 years from now, from the kids that will be studying on the schools, like after 30 years from now, huh? I'm not talking about the ones that are learning now, that are, by the way, already learning a lot of shit. But imagine it, like, if things keep going like that and going like that, imagine what kids will be learning in school in 30 years. Oh my god, like, it gives me chills just to think about it.
Hinged their tyrannical regime, their genocidal regime, on the fulcrum of national particularism, as in the nation taking care of itself, is the reason that we are not allowed to have a nation that takes care of ourselves. Because as far as the left are concerned, as far as the liberal is concerned, that is the origin point of genocide. And if you have a country that takes care of itself, for Europeans, you will end up goose-stepping and marching people into death camps. Now, of course, I've got no interest in goose-stepping or marching people into death camps, but I would like a country that's...
Do you know about this stuff, Holy Ball? Do you know about all this stuff? If you know, I would like you to tell me more about it later. You know, not now on the stream, like later, or maybe another stream if you want to talk on the stream about it or something. You know. No, I really want to understand. I have no idea. I don't know much about history. You know, I try and I always get confused here and there, and I change from opinions back and forth. I really don't know. I have no idea of what actually the fuck happened, you know?
Operates in its own national interest. That would actually be wonderful. A country that actually operates for the interests of the people. But because the Nazis are the ultimate evil, and opposing the ultimate evil is the ultimate good, the best thing we can do is drive towards anti-racism, equality, diversity, anti-nationalism, and so on. So there's nothing else that we can do. And of course, the only thing that is held sacred, the thing that we are just not allowed to deny or mock, as I say, is the Holocaust. Now, like I said, I'm not saying you should deny or mock the Holocaust. I don't. But the fact that it holds the position of the sacred in our society, exactly as I say, is totally backwards. So, of course, the origin event being one of fertility and new life, that is the opposite of other origin mythologies. Think about the Aztec mythology of them arriving in the Mexican Valley and it being a blooming, fertile place, that they made life bloom on an island in the lake because no one else would give them any land. So they made it bloom. That's a positive story. I mean, and the Aztecs were fucking awful, but even their origin story is one of fertility and new life. Like the Hengist and Horsa arriving in Britain to found England. These are building stories. These are stories in which something flourishes. But of course, World War II, as he points out, like there's just never been a bigger war with a bigger death toll. And I'm not surprised that it had this absolutely shattering effect on the sort of psyche of the people at the time and the boomers who grew up in the shadow of it. Because remember, no boomer ever fought in the war. They're all the product of the post-war generation. They are the post-war generation. And so for them, they've got these 2 points. It's like, right, okay, this is a new era of history. The Nazis were the bad guys and the ultimate evil. And the sacred sort of lodestone, the North Star of the culture, is actually a horrific event like the Holocaust. And so, as he points out, so instead of having and again, it's the same with the origin story of like the United States Republic. Like here's a new land that we colonized and conquered and made a flourishing civilization in. Like that is again a positive thing from at least our perspective. But instead, from our perspective, all of this is negative, and this is actually terrible. Like the ultimate good taking the central position in the story that is occupied by the ultimate evil. Like that's a great point. We don't have a singular hero from World War II. The closest we get is Winston Churchill. But even then, Winston Churchill was essentially a lament for the end of the British Empire. And he knew it in his day, and it's very clearly what's happened. And so Churchill's frame is not one of heroic conquest. What it is heroic resistance. We were not so totally destroyed in this one event. We were mortally wounded, and so the civilization is managed decline ever since. But we had the fortitude to resist this ultimate evil. And okay, yeah, fair, we did. But that's not the heroic overcoming to spring forth new life. And then, of course, the thing being held sacred is not mysterious or sublime. It's an obscenity. And so any monument you put up to the sacred focal point of a civilization is not beautiful. It's not appealing. You don't want it there. Like
I mean, guys, I don't know about too much historic figures, but wasn't Churchill like British or something, or am I crazy?
they're currently threatening to set up a Holocaust memorial in London. Why the hell would you do that? We're not the Germans. We didn't commit the Holocaust. We opposed the Holocaust. We fought the Germans, and yet still they want one of these hideous because the
So, sorry my ignorance, but what does like Churchill has to do with the Germans? I really don't see. I mean, I like info in history. So, what does like what does they have to do with German at all? British warmonger?
Holocaust memorials, and honestly, I don't even
Oh,
think
I
this is
see.
necessarily wrong, but like the Holocaust memorials are
Oh,
deliberately
hello,
designed to look
Eustace.
hideous,
Hello.
to give you a disjarring sense of being around them. I've been to the Berlin Holocaust Memorial. It is quite creepy, and it's industrial and uneven and unpredictable. And this is the feeling that they want to put across. This is what happened to us. Well, sure, I agree. That's
Feelings.
awful.
It
I don't want
always
to happen
starts
to
and
anyone.
ends in
But I also
feelings.
don't want these horrific monuments to this horrific event in my country where they're not appropriate and where they won't help anything. But anyway, so we don't have anything mysterious and beautiful, right? Sublime, sorry. We can't build beautiful monuments to these things. The resurrection of Jesus or whatever it is. No, we've got something awful done by foreigners, by the way, done by a group of people who weren't us, whose sins we take upon ourselves because we have the conceit to want a country of our own. And well, they wanted a country of their own, and they did it in a really terrible way. It's like, right, okay, I don't really want to have a country of our own in the way that they did. But sorry, that means you're basically a Nazi if you get to it. And so having a negative foundation myth, meaning the tree of life for Westerners is poisoned, that's so true. Ultimately, we can never take our own side. Ultimately, we can never think of ourselves as blooming, blossoming, growing, bringing life and vitality into the world. We can't think of ourselves that way. And I do think that the myths that we have and the way that they inform our decisions, I do genuinely think the left are right on that. There is something in this, and it informs the decisions we make. And they are happy to go to anti-racism, equality, diversity, and anti-nationalism and all that. But I'm not. I don't want the destruction of my culture. I don't want the destruction of my country. I want something positive for my children to grow up in. I don't want them to grow up feeling as if they are the bad guys of history, because they're not. I happen to think we're the good guys of history, but then that's because we're us and not them. Other people can have their own stories about how they're the good guys of history and we're their bad guys. That's fine, but we don't have to take those stories on. We're not obligated to do so. And until we change the negative foundation myth to a positive foundation myth, then I do think the tree of life for Westerners, I like that framing, can never recover. I think that means the death of our civilizations is kind of baked into the post-war paradigm until we change it.
Well, that is.
So
Yeah, it's complete. Oh my god. It started alone. I'm sorry. It's complicated.
so this 4
Really, really complicated. Oh my god. What you say? Yeah, I don't know about like the most profound 4chan green text. It is? Honestly, I never saw anything better than this coming from 4chan, but I know little about 4chan texts at all. So yeah, it's actually quite good. Yeah. I don't use 4chan at all. I tried, but I don't know. I just find that too much confusing. Annoyingly confusing. I just don't understand. Yeah. I mean, probably it's not worth using. Not interesting to me, but I don't know. Maybe interesting to make videos of. I'm not sure. I mean, I just see people like doing that, and people usually like to watch. Yeah, I was going to do that just now. Thank you. Hey, Pseudo Brand. And now give me just a moment because I need to go toilet. Water in, water out. What you guys are hiding, huh? What you guys are hiding. I'm apparently out of the loop. What is this Kobushi that keeps getting mentioned? Oh, it's hide the meme. Yeah. It means it means you have to stick around long enough to understand. I'm joking. Someone will explain you later if you ask them. Um, I was going to say something. I kind of forgot. Oh yeah. I'm looking at Sargon's face now, and I reminded that like he was talking about feelings, right? Feelings. Oh yeah. Oh boy. It always starts in an apple feelings. Everything. And when you feel we come real, it's gonna blow your mind. Oh, I just remembered that. Oh, I'm sorry. The water, the water entered on the wrong spot. Oh, damn. How it's called in English again? It's choking? I'm not sure. I think it's choking, right? Thank you. Thank you for your concern, Blaze. Before we go any further, I want to take this brief moment here to thank all of you, my patrons, for the incredible support to my work here on YouTube, and especially my 5-tail Fox Tire member, the Holy Ball, and to all of my 3-tail Fox Tire members, Wallany Wolf, Fanny Sylvie, Eat Himself, Chile Not Serious, Eustace the Useful, Zealous Isaiah, Ala Rosas, Max Tenor, Nugutino, Avery, Halcyonic Eder, and TV8. Thank you very much. You guys are amazing. Also, thanks to everyone that have been supporting me on Ko-Fi, Kick, and to all of my YouTube members. You can support this channel life and growth with just $5 a month and gain access to many perks. This is less than a burrito. Check out my Patreon. Link is in the description below. And that's it for today, my dear Foxlings. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.